Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we got the new 1.5.0 beta and the 1.4.3 move to live. This update is about 4.6 gigabytes and it is a big one. So it's very highly anticipated because of all the changes that were teased for multiplayer and single player. So yeah, so this is going to be my second video of the day for this patch. So here's what I'm pretty much doing. So the first video I uploaded that's on my channel already is like a short overlook of the whole patch. I just go over all the stuff that I find very important and I just list it out, and it's about 10 minutes. So if you just want to have like a quick summary, that's the video you should go to, and that video will be linked down below if you do want to just check that video out. But this is the second video where I'm going to focus solely on single player changes, and I'm going to go more in depth and kind of give my opinions on each one. So it's going to be a longer video. And the next video I make is probably going to come out tomorrow because it's getting kind of late and I need to, you know, get some rest. But the third video will be about multiplayer changes, and that one will also be like 30-40 minutes. So yeah, this one's single player, next one's going to be multiplayer. But if you did, like I said before, if you did want to see the overlook video, that's about 10 minutes. It's short. It goes over all the most important stuff in this update. It will be linked down below. Also, the link to the new beta patch will be down below as well if you want to read it for yourself, if you want to read the replies and all of that. And also, I have a script like always going to be on the screen. Everything I state, all the links that are said, they will all be down below. So let's get into the changes. So first, we have some performance improvements in battles, with small formation changes being implemented to fleeing enemies and ranged units. Also, GPU performance improvements in towns having to do with shadows. So they've been improving these a couple times through a lot of hot fixes, and it's good to see that they continue to improve this, and eventually more players will be able to play this game without having very hard FPS issues. Because right now, you know, if you really want to have a very, very good time, you need to have a pretty good computer, but they are slowly working to, you know, make the performance a lot better. And if you've been playing since the beginning of the game till now, you'll realize that the performance has jumped up a lot, in my opinion. Next, we have save files now do not include the native folder, so new saves will be formatted differently. So I did some research on this. I'm probably not the best person to talk about this, but this should help saves and loads, but not like by a lot. It's kind of a small change, but you know, I've seen their save file differences from before. I mean, save file, what do you call it, updates from before, and they're still working on it to, you know, make it as good as they can, so it's good to see. Next, we have visual bugs on doors of castles and armors were fixed, and beards now do not stick through various armors. So various clipping issues were fixed. There was a lot of them listed, but that's like the main ones right there that I just listed. Next, we have 3 new hair types were added. Pretty neat, pretty cool. Last update we got 1 new hair type. This time we got 3 more. Customization is always cool. Next, they added another Sturgeon light armor and a Battalion chain mail armor. So last update they added a couple armors and a couple shields. This time they added 2 new armors. Also, before we continue, there's a huge thunderstorm going outside. There's a lot of rain, and plus new people are moving into my apartment. So all of that being in mind, there might be some background noise. There's background noise in my other video as well, but I forgot to mention it. It is what it is, right? But next thing is they have a lot of very small changes to cities, buildings, and meshes, pretty much how they look and stuff of that nature. And it's going to be on the screen right now if you do want to pause. They're very small changes, but if you want to pause and just read each one out, there it is. Next, oh yeah, but before we continue, there are a lot of small bug fixes and crash fixes. So if they are significant, then I will mention them in this video, but I'm not going to mention every single crash fix and every single bug fix. It's going to become way too long of a video, and some of those things really didn't affect some people. Like some of those crash fixes only affected some people. Some of those bug fixes only affected like a little minority of people. So therefore, if you want to read all of them, the link to the patch notes will be down below. But the significant bug and crash fixes I will cover. Next, we have paths and roads were added. The world map structures like towns, castles, and other small buildings were re-rendered, and pathfinding was improved overall. So the paths and roads, they have no bonus when you travel on them, like you don't go any faster. Obviously, they don't have trees, so therefore you do kind of have a boost, but there was no like, oh, you're on a path, so you get a boost to your speed. But they do look good. I enjoy, you know what I mean? Obviously, they're changing the world map as well. They said the geometry was fixed as well. I don't know exactly what that means. It's kind of vague, but good to hear. Next, we have some village productions were changed for balance and lore reasons. Again, very vague change. Don't know exactly what villages or how the production was changed. Was it nerfed or buffed? But we will see what happens. Next, we got new map mobile trackers. So now you can track your parties and armies, like friendly parties and armies, either in your kingdom or if you're a vassal, in that sort of way. Also, your caravans, they all have kind of like a big banner on the map. Even if you're not close to them, if you zoom all the way out, you can see exactly where they are on the map and where they're traveling to. And I think that's very, very cool and was very, very neat. I think this is a huge change in my opinion. Next, we have another huge change. They added Encyclopedia Favorites, so now you can favorite Encyclopedia items, and they will be shown on the top of their respective lists. So anything that you want to see in the encyclopedia to always pop up at the top, let's say troops-wise, because there's a lot of troops to sort through. If you want one of them to pop up at the top, you go onto the profile, and then on the top left, there should be a star. You click that star, it favorites it, and then next time you look at the troops screen, at the top will be all your favorited troops first. And pretty much that works for all the other encyclopedia features as well. Next, we got a new pop-up when you enter hideouts for faster loading. It's similar to what we got with lords on the world map. It's nothing crazy visually, but in terms of load speed, it does help, and it's a lot faster, in my opinion. Next, they added a tooltip to show players who they will lose relationships with if they execute a lord. So if you do execute a lord now, there's going to be a tooltip. You can hover over it, and it's going to show you you're going to lose relationship with this, and that person if you decide to execute this person. Next, we have the new game menu screens for keeps and arenas are now based off the culture of the settlement. So if you go into, let's say, a town, then you click on keep or you click on arena, the menu where all the options are set to what you want to click on next, like do you want to join the tournament, do you want to go to the dungeon if you're on the keep screen, that little screen, little slider thing on the left, that has custom pictures at the bottom of it depending on where you are on the map. So the Sturgeons have ones that incorporate snow, Azurai, they have like, the sandy ones, and then like all over the map they're kind of like, unique. Next, we have custom battle numbers can now be entered directly instead of a slider. So the custom battle feature is the one that's located under campaign on the main menu, and that's pretty much where you can go into a custom battle that you can build up. You can make it either a siege, a battle, a village attack. You can either be the defender or the attacker. And before, you had to use a slider for all the numbers of troops and all that. Now you can enter it directly through your keyboard. Cool change in my opinion. Next, we got a huge formation overhaul, pretty much. So first, you can now assign companions as captains, and they will provide perks for the formations they control during battles. So to assign a companion to a formation, pretty much all you have to do is you have to go to the party screen and then talk to them about their role. And once you're talking to them, you can choose the role that you want them to be in, or you can change it. And if the captain falls in battle or flees, another companion in the same formation will take their place. Very cool feature. This was kind of in the game, but it didn't really work. But now it's supposed to work how it was intended. Now we have troops with throwing weapons now have their own skirmisher category. They're no longer labeled as archers. So now we got infantry, archers, skirmishers, what is it called? Horsemen, and then cavalry archers. Very, very cool. Next, we have horse archers will now maneuver better and not run straight into the enemy. So now they're gonna kind of maneuver better. They're not gonna get stuck on a wall and then get surrounded by all the infantry. They just have better I guess you could say pathfinding or maneuverability, whichever one you want to use. Next, archers will move less and attack more. So before, if you had like 3 or 4 horsemen, or if you wanted to go in just by yourself with a lot of armor, you can go mess up the whole archer line, and they're going to keep going back because they see horses next to them. So obviously the AI thinks, okay, we need to retreat the archers, right? Regardless if they have 300 archers and you only have 10 horsemen, they're still going to retreat. Now they're going to make better decisions, and they are going to attack more and move less. Next, we have missile range logic was improved. Archers will fire and not fidget back and forth like they did before. So before, when you try to advance on, let's say, an enemy AI army, what would happen is you would get close and they would start the attack animation, but then they would stop because they're right on the edge of where they should shoot and where they shouldn't. Now that should be fixed. Next, we have AI will now stop and carry out a formation before moving forward. This is to stop them from splitting up their army, like, you know, very intensely. Like if they pretty much do a charge animation, you're not going to see the horses and the infantry 10 minutes later. They're going to come kind of together, if that kind of makes sense. Next, we have choke points will now be used more during battle when they are available. Next one is AI will now make smarter decisions when it comes to formations. They will not call a shield wall if they do not have a lot of shields in their army, and so on. Also, if they are facing out a cavalry, they will play more defensively because obviously cavalry have an advantage. Next, there's better formations are now formed. There's bigger circles when a circle is formed. Overall positioning fixes were made, and a single cavalry unit in a party won't ruin the rest of the unit's positioning. I thought that was very cool as well, because it does happen a lot when the enemy party has all infantry and archers, and then the leader is obviously on a horse, and then that kind of messes up the formations. Next, this is the last formation change. When a shield wall is called, units with shields will move to the front of units that don't have shields. I thought that was very cool. It's that's a very nice, in my opinion, change, and it's actually very big if you think about it. Next, we move on to the Azurai, and the overall character creation perks were slightly nerfed in terms of weapons and armors you would receive by the options you picked. So the options I mean is like, were you raised by merchants? Were you done this? Did you escape here? Those character creation options that you pick, they give you specific equipment, and some equipment were very overpowered if you picked the right choices, but now they are balanced. And the Azurai, they had javelins, so now those are a little bit cheaper javelins. Next, we have 13 athletic perks, 10 archery perks, and 8 crossbow perks were added. Some perks were moved up and down. The devs, in my opinion, are ramping up on the perk system. It used to be 1 perk per patch. Now it's starting to be a couple each time. They're fixing parts of it, and then they're going to fix other parts later on. Right now, the crossbows, they don't have icons for their perks, but I'm pretty sure in the next big update, they will have icons. And they'll probably mess with some other perks in other categories as well. And why they do this is because obviously they want to make some changes to perks, see how they work in the game, and then make some more changes. They don't want to overhaul the whole system. They want to work 1 at a time or 2 or 3 at a time like they're doing right now, and then see how the changes actually work. Next, we have child skills are now generated based off their traits when they become an adult. There are also a few equipment templates for what a child's equipment will be based on their parents' traits. More equipment templates will be added later. So now children, whenever they grow up, their skills are going to be based off the traits they grow up with, and also the equipment they get at the start will be based off their parents' traits. Sounds cool, very cool. Next, we have nobles will now spawn normally and join tournaments like they used to. It used to be a bug, and it is now fixed. So nobles, for some reason, weren't spawning, and they weren't joining tournaments as often, but now they should. Next, we have companions that have escaped will now respawn at a closer settlement to the player, whether it's a neutral or friendly settlement, instead of their original culture settlement. Because obviously it's a big problem. Usually we never travel all the way to the other side of the map for a long time, and then we never see our companion, but with this change, we should see our companions more often. Next, we have some policies that were buffed and some that were nerfed in terms of influence. And my apologies, I stated in my shorter video that these were all nerfs, and they were not. So here are the changes. So Sacred Majesty went from +2 influence to +3. Royal Guard still gives no influence, but your party size increase went from +50 troops to +60 troops. Noble Retinues now gives +40 troops, but Clan loses 1 influence per day instead of gaining 1 influence per day. So now it's a trade-off instead of just being all positive. So that's pretty much all the policy changes. Next, we have minor factions will now only join as mercenaries. There used to be a bug where they joined as vassals as well, but that should be fixed now. Next, we have calculation errors that made kingdom tributes either too low or too high were fixed. They should be normalized now, and they should kind of reflect the situation of who's in charge and who's not when it comes to war and peace. Next, we have when a player is in a town and the owner of the town's kingdom declares war on the player's faction, the player will receive a pop-up saying they have escaped from said town and they will be kicked out of that town as a way to, you know, obviously you escaped it, right? Next, we have quests. So the in and out and caravan ambush quests were added. These are new quests that were just added to the game. NPCs will now properly fight in the family feud quest, and overall small quest changes were added. These are going to be on the screen right now if you wish to pause, but they're kind of, you know, minor changes in my opinion. Now, some other minor changes. I'm pretty much going to list them off because they're literally all over the place and they're kind of minor, but they're going to be on the screen as well if you do want to pause or read along, but I'm just going to quickly read them off. So first, engraved backsword can now be thrusted. Second, stats of expert forester units have been fixed. Third, CXs, I think that's how it's called. I might be saying it wrong. Can now be used with civilian equipment. Next one, Battalion veteran Falksman unit has stats that benefit his weapon of choice now. Azurai ruler notables and peasant units no longer come with heavy armor. Militia equipment has been balanced and changed. Veteran militia units now use weaker armor and weaponry. Next, we have is fixed a bug that causes NPCs to remain hostile after player retreats from alley fights. These are pretty much with bandits in the towns. Next one we have is fixed a bug that caused the wife/husband of the player to appear multiple times in missions. Next one we have is bandit party prisoners are recruitable now. So this was a problem. I think this was just a bug that happens sometimes, but it should be all good now. Next we have is there was a minor refactor about recruitment and mercenaries. Next one we have a fixed a tick problem which causes skipping daily income in some cases. This was a problem. I have experienced it, but it's good that it was fixed. Next we have is fix an issue for the editor build deploy. Then we have editor problems about editing AI hint objects fixed, and then we have editor build deploy improvements. And so that's pretty much all for all the changes. And yes, like I said before, there are some minor bug and crash fixes that came with this. But like I stated, I will link the full patch notes if you want to read all the small minor things. But lastly, I'm going to end this video in the same way I ended most of my update and dev talk videos. I want to thank the developers for staying active and bringing good changes. Like I stated before, I am going to make a video for multiplayer as well. It's going to be more in depth. This one came kind of quick, but in my opinion, we didn't get as much changes for single player. We got more changes for multiplayer this way around. Last patch, we got more changes for single player. But hopefully this was informative. I also have a video on how you can revert your game to any other patch in the game. So if you are having problems with the current patch and can't play it, check out the video below. It's going to help you out. Also, I did start a Patreon, and it's nothing crazy. I'm just using it for basic support. There's no paywalling. My content will always be free. It's just if you want to support me and what I do further, check it out. The link's going to be down below. But like I said, hopefully this was informative. Ask me any questions, any concerns, and like always, stay safe.